This episode was originally released as a bonus episode of Real English Radio and is now being released to the public. Enjoy.
If you can't reconcile with this one truth, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually become the best version of yourself. The journey to your dream is going to be lonely. The truth is that most people have grown complacent with where they are in life, and they feel threatened by seeing someone actively trying to change their own destiny. People can, and literally will feel threatened by you having confidence in yourself and your dreams, because your high concept of yourself is directly antagonistic to their own insecurities. And the only way to circumvent this challenge is to build a delusionally supportive inner voice. If you feel that you offend or anger a lot of people, even though you perceive yourself to be a pretty good person who wishes well upon others, it's probably not your fault. There's probably a quality about you that threatens the deeply self-limiting beliefs of other people imposed upon themselves. But if you can truly develop a sense of fortitude within, there is no force outside of you that can control you.
All right, my friends, welcome to another bonus episode of Real English Radio. I am your host, Tony Kazin. Thank you so much, first of all, for supporting the podcast, and second of all, for giving me your time and attention today. I think this episode it's about a very important topic because if you're listening to this podcast, you almost certainly want to improve yourself. You want to become a better version of yourself, even if it just means speaking English more effectively. That is part of becoming a better version of yourself. And this topic, I think, affects all of us on some level because when you try to improve yourself, when you try to become a better version of yourself, you are going to be met with adversity. You're going to be met with challenges. And sometimes those challenges come in the form of other people who don't want to see you win, So I think this is a very interesting and very important topic. But just in case you didn't understand everything that was said in that clip, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning. As always, I'm going to explain the nouns, verbs, and adjectives to make sure everything's clear. And then I'll leave you with a few things to think about, write about, and or talk about the next time you want to practice your English and discuss this topic. All right. So let me go back to the beginning. Here we go. All right, let's do it.
If you can't reconcile with this one truth, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually become the best version of yourself.
If you can't reconcile with this one truth, so reconcile, it's like a more advanced, I guess you could say slightly more formal word for make peace with or to accept. So if you can't make peace with this truth, if you can't accept this truth, it's going to be hard for you, blah, blah, blah. It's just another way of saying the same thing. So if you can't accept this truth, it's going to be hard for you to become the best version of yourself.
If you can't reconcile with this one truth, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually become the best version of yourself. The journey to your dream is going to be lonely. The truth is that most people have grown complacent with where they are in life, and they feel threatened by seeing someone actively trying to change their own destiny.
The truth is that most people have grown complacent. So when you see the word grown and then an adjective, all you need to understand is it's the same thing as the word become and then an adjective. So if people have grown complacent, it means they have become complacent. It is literally the same thing. And just in case you don't know, the adjective complacent, it describes a state of self-satisfaction, even though you might not have reasons to be satisfied. So for example, an example of people who have grown complacent. Maybe somebody who finally got a decent job. They're making enough money to survive and pay bills and keep the lights on and all that type of stuff, but they're not really trying to learn more skills, get better at their job, make more money, work for a better company. They are just totally fine and satisfied with doing the same exact thing every single day, even though in reality, that's a risk. By not improving your skills, by not investing in yourself, by not trying to get better at what it is that you do or look for better job opportunities, make yourself more valuable as an employee, you're running a risk because there might be some other people who are actively working to improve themselves, to become better, to come and take your position, or become your boss. And then after you being so comfortable and satisfied for so long, eventually it might come back to bite you. It might end up being a problem or a challenge. So hopefully you understand what it means to be complacent now. It basically means like to be totally content with the way things are, even though that's a very risky thing to do, even though you should probably go for more, try to get more, try to be more. So most people have grown complacent. Most people have become complacent, lazy. They have no desire to improve. They have no desire to change. You see what I'm saying? That's what it means to be complacent. All right, let me go back a few seconds and we'll continue.
To your dream is going to be lonely. The truth is that most people have grown complacent with where they are in life, and they feel threatened by seeing someone actively trying to change their own destiny.
They feel threatened. They feel threatened. If you feel threatened, it just means that you feel fear or anxiety because you're perceiving someone or something to be dangerous. You feel like your life, or in many cases, your ego feels that you are in actual danger. You feel threatened. If somebody threatens you, it means that they do or say something to make you feel like you are in danger. Okay, so if you feel threatened, you feel like you're in danger. So a lot of people, they feel threatened whenever they see someone actively trying to change their own destiny. And your destiny, the dictionary definition, is the predetermined or inevitable series of events that will happen in your life. So when you're trying to change your destiny, it means that you are trying to change the path that your life is going to take. So if you are destined to be, I don't know, an accountant, if you don't want that life for yourself, if you don't want your life to end up in that place, you try to change your destiny. You learn new skills. You try to become a pilot or a chef or a teacher or a podcaster or whatever it is. That's what it means to change your destiny. Because if you keep following this one path, you are destined to arrive at a particular destination. I don't know, but I believe those words are related. So if you try to change your destiny, you're trying to change the destination at which you will arrive at some point, right? You're just changing your life. I'm sure you get the point. So some people who have grown complacent will feel threatened. They will feel like their sense of security is in danger when they see somebody else actively trying to improve their lives and change their destiny. That's the idea. All right, let's continue.
That most people have grown complacent with where they are in life, and they feel threatened by seeing someone actively trying to change their own destiny. People can, and literally will, feel threatened by you having confidence in yourself and your dreams, because your high concept of yourself is directly antagonistic to their own insecurities.
Your high concept of yourself is directly antagonistic to their own insecurities. So to have a high concept of oneself, it just means to have a very elevated level of confidence or belief in your own abilities. You perceive yourself to be very capable. You have lots of potential. You have lots of skills and aspirations. You think very highly of yourself. That's what it means to have a high concept of yourself. And so if you have a high concept of yourself, that can be directly antagonistic to other people's insecurities. So if something is antagonistic, it means that it is in opposition with something else. It is conflicting with something else. So your high concept of yourself can be a threat, or how can I say this? It can cause conflict with other people because of their insecurities. Simply being confident in yourself can cause other people to feel very uncomfortable if they are insecure about themselves. That's really the idea that's being expressed. So that's what it means if your high concept of yourself is antagonistic to someone's insecurities. And just in case you don't know, insecurities are basically, they describe a lack of confidence in oneself, a certain level of uncertainty about oneself, right? You feel weak or you feel deficient. You feel that you're not good enough for some reason. That's what it means to feel insecure. So people who feel like this about themselves very often feel threatened by people who feel good about themselves, people who are confident in themselves. It feels threatening to the ego, you know? All right, I think that's the first half done. So let's go on to the second half.
Concept of yourself is directly antagonistic to their own insecurities. And the only way to circumvent this challenge is to build a delusionally supportive inner voice.
Inner voice, she said. I cut her off. But the only way to circumvent this challenge, this is definitely a more advanced word. To circumvent something means to find a way around something or to avoid a particular challenge or difficulty. So you come up with a strategy so that you can overcome an obstacle or go around the obstacle, avoid the obstacle, right? So the only way to circumvent this challenge or the only way to overcome this challenge is to build a delusionally supportive inner voice. Now, delusionally technically isn't a word, but it does, like, I don't think you'll find it in the dictionary, but it does make sense because delusional is a word. So delusionally, it's not the most common thing to hear. Like when I type it into my document here, the autocorrect tells me it's wrong because it's not a word. But when she says it, I think any native understands immediately and it doesn't sound strange to us. I just wanted to make that clear. But delusionally, it just means overly optimistic, unrealistically optimistic, right? Especially when it comes to what you believe about yourself or what you believe you can do or who you believe you are. To be delusional means to have like very unrealistic beliefs. So to do something delusionally means to do it with unrealistic beliefs or expectations. So the only way to overcome this challenge is to build an unrealistically positive and supportive inner voice. And your inner voice is literally just the voice that you hear inside your head, the internal dialogue that you have with yourself. What you say to yourself, what you think to yourself, how you talk to yourself, all of that comprises your inner voice. Inner voice, your inner voice, your inner voice. Let me play it again because I might have, hopefully, I haven't confused you at this point. Let me go back to the beginning of that. Here we go.
And the only way to circumvent this challenge is to build a delusionally supportive inner voice.
There you go. So the only way to overcome this challenge is to build a unrealistically supportive inner voice, a ridiculously supportive inner voice. That's the only way to overcome this challenge. That's what she's saying. All right, let's continue.
Is to build a delusionally supportive inner voice. If you feel that you offend or anger a lot of people, even though you perceive yourself to be a pretty good person who wishes well upon others.
All right, I want to stop and explain one thing because she said, if you feel that you offend or anger a lot of people. I'm sure you know what offend means, but in this case, anger is being used as a verb, not a noun, because to feel anger, right? You feel angry, you're mad. But if you anger someone else, it means that you make them angry. You see what I'm saying? So in this case, it's a verb. If you offend or anger a lot of people, even though you perceive yourself to be a pretty good person, and then, so pretty good in this case, the word pretty just means more or less, kinda. Now, if it's pretty good, it means it's kind of good. It's more or less good. It's satisfactory. You know what I'm saying? It's good enough. So in this context, she's describing a relatively high degree of being a good and well-intentioned person. So if you think you're a pretty good person, it means on a scale of 1 to 10, you're probably a 7 or an 8. It's pretty good. It's not the best. You know what I mean? But it's pretty good. I really hope that makes sense because it's a very common thing to say in American English. It's a word that we put before adjectives to just put a little bit more emphasis on it. You know what I mean? Not a dramatic level of emphasis. It's not an extremely good person, but you're pretty good, you know? It's pretty good. I hope that makes sense. All right, so let's continue.
If you feel that you offend or anger a lot of people, even though you perceive yourself to be a pretty good person who wishes well upon others, it's probably not your fault. There's probably a quality about you that threatens the deeply self-limiting beliefs of other people imposed upon themselves.
Okay, there's probably a quality about you that threatens the deeply self-limiting beliefs. Now, this might be self-explanatory, but self-limiting beliefs are those personal beliefs or perceptions or convictions that people have about themselves. And it's like a belief that you are incapable of growing, a belief that you have no potential, a belief that you cannot achieve your personal goals. You put limits on yourself and you say, I could never do that. I could never be that. I could never have that. I could never say that. You just put these limits on yourself and you don't believe that you can do or have or achieve more. So some people have very deeply rooted self-limiting beliefs, and there might be a quality about you that threatens those beliefs. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes simply showing people that they could be more or that they could do more makes them feel very uncomfortable because they're holding so tightly onto this idea that they can't do more or be more. So they feel threatened. There's some cognitive dissonance there. What they see in reality and what they feel about themselves, those two things are conflicting. And if you're causing that feeling, people they assign that feeling to you. They blame it on you. You are the reason I'm feeling this way. So fuck you. You see what I'm saying? All right, let me go back a few seconds and we'll continue.
Not your fault. There's probably a quality about you that threatens the deeply self-limiting beliefs of other people imposed upon themselves. But if you can truly develop a sense of fortitude within, there is no force outside of you that can control you.
If you can truly develop a sense of fortitude, fortitude is just let's say a more formal word, a more advanced word for strength, inner strength, resilience, right? So if you can truly develop a sense of inner strength, a sense of resilience, a sense of fortitude, there is no force outside of you that can control you. Only you can control you. But you need to develop that inner sense of strength, fortitude, and resilience for that to be the case, right? All right, let me go back to the beginning, play it all from start to finish, and we'll see how much more you can understand. Let's do it.
If you can't reconcile with this one truth, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually become the best version of yourself. The journey to your dream is going to be lonely. The truth is that most people have grown complacent with where they are in life, and they feel threatened by seeing someone actively trying to change their own destiny. People can, and literally will feel threatened by you having confidence in yourself and your dreams, because your high concept of yourself is directly antagonistic to their own insecurities. And the only way to circumvent this challenge is to build a delusionally supportive inner voice. If you feel that you offend or anger a lot of people, even though you perceive yourself to be a pretty good person who wishes well upon others, it's probably not your fault. There's probably a quality about you that threatens the deeply self-limiting beliefs of other people imposed upon themselves. But if you can truly develop a sense of fortitude within, there is no force outside of you that can control you.
All right, my friend, so how was it the second time around? Could you understand each and every word, all the nouns, verbs, adjectives, prepositions, adverbs, conjunctions? Could you understand all that? I really hope so. If not, remember that you do have access to the PDF vocabulary guide. It has a transcript of that audio clip with all the explanations of the vocabulary as well as example sentences. So be sure to check that out. But now I just want to leave you with a few things to think about, because the main takeaways from this clip, at least if you ask me, there are 5 of them. Number 1, the importance of understanding that you will feel loneliness on the path to success. Number 2, understanding that confidence often threatens very insecure people, and there are a lot of insecure people in this world. Number 3, the importance of building a supportive inner voice. To overcome the challenges that you face with other people who feel threatened by your desire and your attempt to improve yourself, you need to build a supportive, strong, positive inner voice so that even when everything around you and outside of you is spewing fucking negativity, inside, at home, inside of you, it's nothing but positivity. Number 3, understanding and knowing how to interpret other people's reactions. This is extremely important. And number 5, developing that inner sense of resilience and fortitude. Now, I'm just going to touch on all 5 of these at the same time because they're all kind of interconnected, and it's really, really important. And it's something that I think a lot of people, when giving advice about how to be successful, when talking about the road to achieving one's dreams, I don't hear people talking about this a lot. And it's the fact that sometimes the biggest and most complicated challenges are not people that you don't know. It's not haters online. It's not that the task itself is impossible to achieve. Sometimes it's people that you love. Sometimes it's your best friends, your girlfriend, your husband, your mom, your sister, your brother, your uncle. They have this concept of who you are and who they think you should be. And when you challenge that concept by trying to be something else, by trying to be who you believe you are supposed to be, they feel threatened because people want a sense of security. People many times grow complacent. They get comfortable with the way things are, and anything that threatens that sense of stability for them is a problem, even if it's another person in their life whom they have no control over. So it could be your mom, it could be your uncle, or your best friend who are comfortable with the way that life is right now, including comfortable with the way you are and who you are to them. And so if you start to change, their world starts to change and that makes them uncomfortable. And when they feel threatened and they feel insecure, what do they want? They want safety. And so if you feel threatened, you feel attacked by somebody, you are going to try to return that attack to defend yourself. And so the problem with that is sometimes people will try to say or do things to convince you openly or more discreetly or indirectly. They'll try to convince you to stay the way you are, to never change. Keep being the person that I'm comfortable with you being. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of people who aren't ready for that, who didn't expect that, they're like, why? Like, damn, what's the problem? Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, why does my mom hate me now? Why is my dad always saying this negative shit? Why aren't they supporting me in my dreams? And sometimes it's not just because they hate you or they want you to, they want to see you doing bad. Sometimes they just can't stand to see you doing good. There's a difference, right? Some people want to see you fail because they want to see you suffer. They hate you. They want what's worse for you. Other people, it's not that they want what's worse for you. They just want what's best for them. And sometimes what's best for them is that you don't make progress, that you don't become a better version of yourself, that you don't improve, because that threatens their ego, their sense of security. And it's a constant reminder that they are not doing anything with their lives. It's a constant reminder that they are fucking stagnant, sitting in the same place, never improving, never learning anything new, never expanding the brain and having new experiences. It's just the same shit every day. And most days, you don't have somebody to remind you that you probably shouldn't be living like that. I mean, if you want to live like that, fine. But I think a good friend is going to remind you, like, hey, man, you had dreams, you have potential, you had goals. So, like, why don't you fucking get after it? You know what I mean? Maybe they won't try to force it on you, but I think a good friend will encourage you to grow and improve and learn new things and have new experiences, right? So, I don't know, man. I think it's one thing that we're not necessarily prepared for, especially when it's somebody close to us. You never expect your mom or your brother or your best friend to be the person that's against you when you're trying to achieve your goals and improve yourself. Something that you probably don't expect, but it's very, very, very common. And it causes a lot of turmoil and stress and frustration in relationships because it's like, damn, I love my sister. I love my best friend. I love my dad, but they're just so fucking negative. Every time I try to tell them about my plans or my goals or my dreams, they always come with some negative shit. They're always trying to shoot me down. And to shoot somebody down when they come to you with an idea or a proposition or something like that, if you shoot them down, it means that you do everything you can to discourage them. You say, that'll never work. That's stupid. How are you going to do that? Who do you think you are? That you're shooting somebody down. So if you think about an airplane, during a war, like a fighter jet or something like that, if it's the enemy, you want to shoot that plane so that it falls from the sky and is no longer a threat. I don't know if that's where the expression comes from, but that's what I imagine when I hear shoot somebody down. They're a plane just flying through the air, trying to soar, and you're on the ground, threatened by their presence, and you try to shoot them so that they fall from the sky. You try to neutralize the threat. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why is my mom shooting me down? Why is my girlfriend shooting me down? Like, just so fucking negative all the time. And sometimes it's just because your confidence and your desire to improve yourself threatens their sense of security and stability. And in those cases, man, it's really hard. But I think, like Sibel said, and Sibel is the name of the girl who was speaking in that clip. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. It looks French. Sibel, I guess is how you say it. And so she was saying that the way to overcome this challenge or to circumvent this challenge is to build that delusionally supportive inner voice. So positive and so supportive that it almost seems crazy. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think you need to be delusional about it. You can be very realistic and build an extremely supportive and positive inner voice. And it's about self-awareness. It's about self-knowledge, right? If you know who you are and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve, I think it gets to a certain point where you come to terms with the fact, you reconcile with the idea that, man, this is my fucking life. And if my mom or my uncle or my best friend or my girlfriend doesn't want to support, that's totally fine. But I still have to live my life in the way that's best for me. I'm not living for other people. Maybe if you have kids, you're living for them, but that's even more reason even more reason to build that positive inner voice and continuously try to become the better, or not the better, the best version of yourself you can possibly become for you and your kids. You know what I'm saying? But anybody else, who gives a fuck what other people think, man? You just have to be prepared for that. You're going to come across negative and insecure people who want to shoot you down and make you feel worse and keep you on the same level they're on because that makes them feel safe and comfortable. Then they don't have to try to become a better version of themselves. And that's the thing, is like understanding other people's reactions and understanding that as you become a better version of yourself and you become more confident in yourself, you are going to threaten other people's ego. I mean, that's what hate is, bro. It's just like, it's really like fake love. It's love that we don't know how to express. You know what I mean? Like when you see somebody who's truly on the grind, somebody who's truly be, working to become a better version of themselves, they're confident, charismatic, and improving their skills. Like we admire that. But as an insecure person, you confuse that admiration. How can I express this idea? Never tried to express this before. What I'm saying is really it's admiration for the greatness that we see in other people. But since we have such a low, such a poor vision of ourselves, such a low concept of ourselves, we feel threatened, right? Because we know deep down we're not doing anything to also become a better version of ourselves like this person that we see in front of us. And that makes us feel like shit. So even though we admire them, we immediately look back at ourselves and we start to compare ourselves. And when we compare ourselves and we realize that we are not half of what we could be, and this person in front of us is actively improving themselves, we're like, shit. No, I'm not a piece of shit. I'm not a loser. I'm not complacent. Fuck that guy. Right? And then you just look for reasons, or you look for ways to tear that person down and bring them down to your level so that you can feel better. And you have to understand that. It has nothing to do with you. Haters don't hate on losers, bro. You ever notice that? Like haters don't talk shit about other fucking losers who aren't doing anything with their lives. They're on the same level. But when you see somebody come around who's on a higher level, doing better, threatening your sense of security, reminding you that you're not doing shit with your life, that is when the hate starts. That is when you feel threatened and attacked. So you try to return the attack, you know? Oh, shut up, you fucking loser. What, you think you're better than us? Oh, you're good, but you're not that good, right? Little fucking bitches, little haters, bro. And so if you arrive at that point on your journey where you're doing nothing wrong to anybody, you're wishing nothing but good things for other people, you're just focused on being kind, providing value, improving yourself, and you come across people who are just sending a bunch of negativity your way, you need to understand that is part of the process. It's normal. It's unfortunate that people choose to hate instead of love, but at the same time, you can rest assured you're doing something right. If you've got haters and you've done nothing wrong to people, if you're only trying to do what's best, you're only trying to be kind and all these things, and you got haters, it's like you need to understand you're doing something right. You're on the right path. Because it not only are you recognizing your potential and your skill and your value, other people are starting to recognize it. And unfortunately, it makes them feel threatened and they want to attack you, but that's out of your control. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to understand that it may not be your fault. Now, I think self-awareness is the key, because you might be a piece of shit. You go around talking shit to people, being negative, maybe you're arrogant, right? And then that causes people to hate you as well. But if you know deep down, you only have good intentions, you're only trying to be a good person and treat others with kindness and respect and just be a better version of yourself, you have to understand it's most likely not your fault that people hate on you. It has nothing to do with you that people talk shit about you or talk shit to you or treat you worse when all you're trying to do is be a better version of yourself. You have no control over that. So that's why developing that fortitude, that inner resilience, and knowing who you are, knowing what you're trying to achieve, and knowing that you have those good intentions, that's all you need to worry about. You can't control what other people say or do, man. If you want a good example, like go to one of my viral videos on Instagram or TikTok and just scroll through the comments and just sit back and appreciate how much fucking hate and negativity people feel the need to send to me when I don't even fucking know them, never even met. They just feel the need to talk shit because they're threatened. They're miserable. They're unhappy with themselves. And instead of dealing with their own shit, they have to throw shit at you to make you feel worse, to bring you down to their level, right? I'm not sure if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is. I've definitely played him before on the podcast, but he's a very well-known entrepreneur, businessman, marketer, and stuff. And he has this common thing that he says, which is when it comes to building a business, which is the same thing as building a successful life, if you ask me, when it comes to building a business, there are two ways to build the biggest, tallest, most impressive building in the city. You can literally build a structure that is taller and more impressive than any other structure in the city, or you can just try to tear down all the buildings that are taller than yours. And then eventually you will have the tallest building in the city. And I hope you can see that the tallest building is an analogy, it's a metaphor for the biggest, best business or the biggest and best life experience, right? So think about a tall building as success. So the way to build the tallest building is either focus on building yours and making it as tall as it can possibly be, or just tearing other people down. So if we think about life, there's two ways to be successful. There's two ways to feel good about yourself. One, you can just focus on becoming the best version of yourself you can possibly be. Or number two, you can focus on tearing other people down and trying to make them the worst version of themselves that they can possibly be. I hope that makes sense. And a lot of people choose option number two. Instead of working on themselves, they try to tear other people down so that they also become pieces of shit. Because that way, if everybody's a piece of shit, I can be comfortable being a piece of shit. But if everybody around me is trying to improve themselves, well, fuck, I have two choices. I can either try to improve myself as well, or I can continue being a piece of shit. And that's a very uncomfortable thought for people to have. It's a very uncomfortable feeling for people to experience. And you just have to understand that. Most of the time, people's poor treatment of you has nothing to do with you. So you don't need to focus on that. You need to build that positive inner voice, focus on yourself. And if you're trying to improve, you're trying to become better, do better, have more, like, man, that's all you need to worry about. Everybody else's insecurities and problems and fucking deficiencies and whatever, man, that has nothing to do with you. You can't control that shit. Just keep putting out that positivity. And be empathetic, really. When somebody shoots hate your way, when they're talking shit, your natural reaction might be to talk shit to them and say, well, fuck you. Who the fuck are you, bro? You don't know me. But, and I've definitely responded that way. I'm getting tongue-tied. I've definitely responded that way many times in the past, but that does nothing but put you on their level. When somebody sends hate and negativity your way and you respond that way, you're doing nothing but you're sinking to their level. But you need to stay up here. Stay up top where things are positive. You don't go backwards. You don't go down and meet them at their level. You can't change somebody. You know what I'm saying? The only thing you can do is respond with empathy and understanding and positivity. Somebody comes at you with that hate, ask them, are you okay? You having a bad day? Like, what's going on, man? Tell me about it. And most people won't respond positively to that either. But what I'm saying is you cannot fight fire with fire. You cannot fight hate with more hate. You fight fire with water. And you fight hate with love. And it's not always easy, but I do think it's the right thing to do. When people are hating on you and talking shit, I think responding with love and understanding is much better than responding with hate. Because when you respond with hate, you just generate more hatred, I should say. You just generate more hatred. And that doesn't help anybody, So in summary, my friend, the path to success is often a lonely one because most people are not actively trying to be successful. They're just complacent, happy with the way things are, not trying to improve or learn new things or have new things or make more money or friends or relationships. They're just doing the same shit every day, the same mediocre life. Unfortunately, that is the case. So if you're trying to improve yourself, you might find it's very hard to find other friends that are also actively trying to improve themselves. And as you gain confidence and skill, you are going to become a threat to all the people who don't have confidence or skills. And they're going to throw hate and negativity your way. So you just have to have such a supportive and positive inner voice when you talk to yourself that all that outside, external negativity is meaningless. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't hurt you, Once you understand why people do the things they do, it's much easier to accept it. You don't have to like it, but it's easier to accept it so that you can move on with your life and continue in peace. You know what I mean? So develop that sense of resilience within yourself, and all those external forces, they just become so much less important. So, what do you think, man? Let me know what y'all think. If you made it to the end of the episode, you understand the ideas, and I've given you something to think about, hit me up on Discord, start a conversation. Let me know what y'all think about this, man, because I think that, again, this is not something that we're necessarily told or exposed to when we get started on the path to success. And I think a lot of us maybe are confused when we come across so much negativity when all we want is a more positive life experience. You know what I'm saying? So let me know what your experience with this is. Maybe you've already experienced lots of hate and negativity when you're trying to improve yourself, learn new languages and skills, make more money, or have better friends, and you've just been met with so much negativity. I want to know about y'all's experience, man. So hit me up on Discord. But I'm going to get out of here, my friend. Hopefully you've enjoyed another episode, another bonus episode of Real English Radio. I am your host, Tony Kaizen, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.